let's begin with the G-score method in identifying outliers. So the G-score method is a common statistical technique used to identify outliers in a data set by measuring how many standard deviations a data point is away from the mean of the data set. So the G-score is calculated by subtracting. I'm just G-score calculation. This G-score is calculated by subtracting the mean of the data set. You see that this is the mean of the data set from the data point. X is the data point and mu is the mean of the data set, and divide the whole fraction, divide the whole result, divide the result by the standard deviation of the data set. So hence the formula for calculating the G-score of a data point is as follows. Okay, so G-score is calculated by subtracting the mean of the data set from the data point and then dividing the result by the standard deviation of the data set. So now let's break this formula into the various parts, and in this formula Z is the G-score that we get after the calculation, X is the value of the data point or individual data point, and mu is the mean of the data set, and sigma is the standard deviation of the data set. So the G-score measures how far a data point is from the mean in terms of standard deviations. Positive G-score indicates that the data point is above the mean, while a negative G-score indicates that the data point is below the mean. We have discussed these points before. So the magnitude of the G-score indicates how far that point is from the mean in terms of standard deviations. A higher magnitude G-score indicates a data point that is further away from the mean and is potentially more likely to be an outlier. I'm repeating this point. This is very important. Let me put it here. This is outlier detection. So a higher, first we begin with G-score method. A higher G-score indicates a data point that is further away from the mean and is potentially more likely to be an outlier. That's what my point. So the G-score method can be used to identify outliers by setting a threshold value. By setting a threshold value for the G-score. So data points with G-scores beyond the threshold value are considered outliers. Let me put this point here. So data points with G-scores beyond the threshold value are considered outliers. So commonly used threshold values are identifying outliers using G scores are plus or minus 2. So common threshold values, sorry, plus or minus 2 and plus or minus 3. Okay, so plus or minus 2 and plus or, let me, plus or minus 2 and plus or minus 3, these are the commonly used threshold values for identifying outliers. But the choice of threshold value depends on the specific data set and the desired level of sensitivity in detecting outliers. So now let's take a simple example of finding an outlier. So for that we need to use a gscore method in Python. For that we need to bring up the scipy.stats. From there we can bring up the gscore. Okay, let me import pandas. Let me import the pandas as pd, and once the pandas has been imported, now let me import the gscore directly from the scipy. Okay, from scipy.stats, and I want to import gscore. Yep, that's it. Successfully imported. You want to see what is there in gscore, and okay, so now let's begin creating, let's generate a data set first. Let's generate a data set, a random data set. So data is equal to, now I need to import one more thing before that. Import numpy as np. So now I can generate a random data set from this np.random, and I'm going to use normal. So LOC is 0, then scale is 1, and size is equal to 100. So that's what is our data, and this is what is our data point, and this is our array, no, complete array. So now let's we need to find out the outlier from this. For that we need to calculate the g-scores. So let's calculate g-scores. So g-scores is equal to, I need to use g-score method, and then I need to apply a g-score function to the respective array. That's it. Data. So now let me check the g-scores. Simple. And here are your g-scores. G-scores, this is what all your g-scores for respective data. Now I need to find out an outlier for that. To find out an outlier, I need to set up a threshold. So here in this case, I'm going to set up a threshold for identifying outliers. So threshold is equal to 2. So that's my threshold. Now let's identify outliers. So outliers is equal to data of np dot absolute, because I need to convert that, absolute of g scores, and then Now if it is greater than threshold, then that should comes under outliers, and here are your outliers. That's it. This is how you calculate your outliers. So this is how we use a G-score method to find out the outliers on your NumPy arrays or maybe from your data sets.